All right, yard machines, 8 horsepower, 24 inch. 8 horsepower Tecumseh. So I did this one a while back. I went through the whole machine. So I actually gave it to my customer. He gave it back to me. He doesn't want it. I did another one for him, that nice Murray. And I want to check out a couple of things. Now, it's hard starting, and it was electric start, but we don't have a starter motor for it. Died. What oil is in here? I don't think he really used it. Might want to even put like an even lighter weight oil in it to make it easy. The oil seems good. Hasn't really been used. Took it all apart. Went through the carburetor. Went through everything. Went through the ignition system. Took it all apart. Literally. It's all been lubed. It's all been checked out. It ran fine. Hard starting. So one of the mistakes I made, and I was talking about this on a live, is the push primer. And it's very difficult to push in. So we'll see, and I'll show you. These carburetors sit real low. They make a right angle to the extension tube, right? The manifold. It comes up another right angle. That's a lot. Like in Ken Small Engines, he did a video a while back on these, and his, it was just a quick video, and he said something profound, like these motors are old now. All of these older Tecumseh motors, they haven't been built in a long time, but they're generally in very good shape, and this one is in very good shape. And we'll check it over again, and you'll see. This thing looks great. It's in great shape, but they're older, and that carburetor is down so low. Just prophylactically replace the push primer. Now, usually I do. For some reason, I wasn't thinking, I didn't do it. So why don't we get in here? Let's just check its overall state. We got to pull a couple of bolts off. On this one, this is a slightly different design. I don't know if the head bolts go in. I don't know. We'll find out. Some of them, they changed it. They put a stud in. Maybe this one is like that because this one can take the head bolts out. On the older ones, you had to take at least 2, maybe sometimes 3 head bolts out. Let's pull this starter cover off. Let's pull this cover off the front, the air box. We're going to pull this out of our way. Okay, we got to get this guy, this lever rod here for the gear shift. Get that out of the way. We're just going to dig in, and we're going to go. I should have one of these primer bulbs. So maybe we'll even pull the carburetor back off, or at least peek inside of it. And it has been run, so also let's get this plug out. Let's take a reading on the plug. Let's get a closer look at it. That should tell us a little bit of the story. It's probably just too damn lean. And then from there, if we can get it to start easier. I didn't start it. I'm not going to start in front of you guys because there's no fuel in it now, which is good. All right, we're not going to make a mess. Maybe we want to replace the fuel line too. None of these things seem to have like a fuel shut-off switch. So maybe we want to look at that, put some better fuel line on it. Let's dig in. Good. All right, we got some of the covers off. Now I'm getting ready to take this off. Got one more bolt holding on. This is out of the way. So is something else. What else I take out of the way? I took something else off. Oh yeah, this guy here. All right, I'm gonna be banging into stuff. So this guy here is the second hole from the top, and there's like 2 more holes below it. So in the second hole from the top. So we gotta take this guy off of the here. Okay, so this cover, we'll take this off. This should be 2 screws and let it hang. Now we can also cut this wire just to completely get it out of our way. And we can put an end on it and a blade connector. We can put that blade connector there if we want. Here's our air tube. And yeah, let's do that. All right, I might even put a little mark there too, like a little piece of white paint or yellow paint would be better. All right, we'll take a look at the plug in a minute. And we'll get in a little closer, but there's just a little bit of dirt in here, right? We'll just wipe that out. I don't know how that got in there, but okay. Well, it was sitting outside. You'd be surprised how filth can get in. So it looks pretty good here. Plug is out, and it just feels a little stiff. So let's pull the belt cover off and see if the belt is dragging too. And I'd like to see if I can do another compression test. Let's set it for that. All right, now I remember. So here's one of the reasons why. So this has like a camshaft takeoff, and that's what runs the drive pulley. Not the auger, but the drive pulley. And you can see here, right? it's got an idler on it full time. And we'll go around the other side. And you can see there's a lot of a drive on it, right? So that's going to make it harder to pull over, for sure. That's why it's an electric start. Now, there's nothing wrong with it. All these belts, I think, were new. Went through all of this. This all looks good. I don't personally care for the dual belt system. They have to be aligned perfectly. If they're not, you'll throw a belt. One belt will get caught underneath the other belt. You'll lose both belts. You got to get that right. But this has been run to some degree. So I think what we want to do now is pull the bowl of the carburetor, take a peek inside. All right, before we do that, another thing too I noticed on some of these engines, I used to adjust the coil to about 10 thousandths. And as soon as they get a bit of rust on them and everything, which this is already starting, sometimes I like to put a little bit of lubricant on there. Let's clean that rust off and lift the coil up to about 12 or 15. But before we do that, we'll check spark with the plug the way it is. Let's go look at the plug. And we'll check compression with the way it is. And then I'll come back, do this, bring it up to about 12 or 15, see where it is, and check it again. And then maybe even clean the plug and check it again. Let me just play with that for a little bit, because that could also impart issues. Now, you wouldn't think so, but it's running a little rich. But it wasn't wet when I pulled it out. But it's been sitting. But yeah, it's a little carbonized. So that's got me a little concerned. Let's turn a little light on. I don't know if that'll help. But there's no deposits here or anything. It's just that I don't see any chocolatiness. But like I said, it hasn't really been run. All right, fellas, so I got this starter motor. I was outside, and I think this is either the starter motor from, I don't think it was from this motor. It may have been, but there's another motor out there. It's I believe it's a 10 horsepower. I don't know if it's the double shaft. I do have another one with the head off of it that's a double shaft. And so this is probably the starter motor, maybe from that. These are bigger. This is bigger than, like, you know, the 5.5 horsepowers. So the bottom line with that is, I was keeping it because I was thinking about doing something with my Toro 826 with one of these kinds of motors. And I don't know. We'll have to see. We got to see now. I don't know. Because if I use this, now, watch, right? It kind of, I checked, bench tested it, and I put some lubrication, just oil on the Bendix on the inside of the Bendix, okay? That's all you can use. Now, then I put grease all on the gears, and these gears, that's different. But listen to it. It does feel like it's straining. Plug is out. Let me see if we got spark. I don't know if it's grounded right now. It's not grounded. It should spark. Let me see. Listen. Oh, now it's coming up. Yeah, see, you should have heard it. It was definitely stiff. I got spark. Hold on, let me shut that off. Yeah, it was stiff. Now, let me take a look at the spark. I want to bring you in. We'll shut the lights off, and I'll bring you in with the other camera, and we'll take a look at that spark. And then we're going to put a little bit of lubricant in here. In fact, why don't we do that right now? Hold on. This is my tranny sauce mix. It's 50-50 transmission fluid and gasoline. Not acetone. You don't want that. That's too rough for most things. Let's just kind of slosh it around. It might make that blink. Remember, we're sending all kinds of weird signals. All right, now let me bring you around. Camera light is off, bench light is off. Just the upper house lights are on. And a lot of people try to do this, but they don't realize they have that camera in automatic. It will try to compensate, and they're like, oh, it'll be darker. No, you have your camera in automatic. It's going to compensate. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, you could definitely hear it straining a little bit. All right, next step. I think that's interesting. Look, it stopped with the magnet. This is TD, well, close to TDC, but it stopped with the magnet literally right here. All right, so I displugged the coil. We're just going to take the coil off. Another quick cleaning with the Scotch-Brite pad. And I want to see, hold on, and we'll talk about this later. Here's a 10 thousandths. So I think it's set to 10. And that might be another issue, yeah. Yeah, we're going to go, I think we're going to go with like a 15. We could go to 12, but I'm going to go a little taller than that. And I'll explain why in a minute. But let's just give the magnet and the tip of the coil a cleaning. Oh, yeah, I got it on there, good. Oh boy, yeah, that's on there, good. Hold on. And we're going to go to 15 thousandths, I think. Let me see what I have. And I'll explain why. Scotch-Brite pad. That's all we need. It's already been done. I want to make sure these areas are clean. You can see I did it a while back. And even this side we did. And make sure that these are good. Just a little bit of grease on these areas, by the way. Alright, touch of chain wax. Let it set up. Well, that connected too. Alright, I cinched up the bolts. Pull the coil up, cinch them up. Just lightly. Alright, just so you can hold your coil out of your way. Let's align the magnet. Hold on. I gotta see. Oh, watch, your head's in the way. Yeah, I know, because I gotta see. Remember, I got eyes in my head. Alright, let's just lay that there. 14 thousandths per S. Stop using credit cards and business cards. That's lame. That's farmer's junk when you're out in the field. That's to get you back to your shop. That's all that is. Alright, give it a tightening, snug it up. Let me give it a little bit more tightening. Alright, 1/4 inch drive, fellas. Nothing else. No blammo guns, nothing. Remember, these got wafers in them. Now, these are older, so, but a lot of the newer ones, they those wafers need to collapse. They need to compress. There we go. Thank you. Now, that chain wax is going to dry up like a wax. It's going to be nice. Put this back so we don't forget. Make sure that's clean. That should kill. All right, maybe you can see it, but that gap is misaligned. All right, the two electrodes, see it? I checked it. It's at 30. I'm going to realign it and gap it to 32. And you can see it's biased. Let me turn a little light on, too. I don't know if that'll help, but... So we're going to do that next. It's all nice and clean. Now, that should look better. We'll turn a little light on. We'll compare. Hold on. That's nice. Not bad. I'd say that's pretty good. Alright, so she's a little low on compression, fellas. Let me rewind that and see. One of the ways we can tell is put a little oil down the cylinder. Hold on. We'll see if it's valves or what. You know, she is a smaller motor. All right, this is 20 way. This is a 14 or a W40. Oh, I'll tell you in a minute. I always forget. I'll tell you in a minute. Just a couple of squirts. It's a diesel oil. I use it for a lot of things. Uh-oh. See what I mean? There we go. All right, it's about the same. That means that it could be valves. Could be carbon. Could be carbon fouling. Remember, it's an older motor. Those valves may not be sealing well. Yeah, that starter motor is getting a little bit warm. We're flinging grease everywhere, which is okay. Right? It's actually getting a little dry. We should get like the real sticky stuff. But it's not rusty anymore. Yeah, she's moving all right. All right, now I want to pass through a good fuel line, and then we can do the primer bulb. All right, I'm not really a big fan of this fuel line. It gets hard over time, but in a way that's good, because when you have a bend like this thing gets a bend, it won't kink. But when the starter mode is out, it's easier. That's it. Come here, you. And then you gotta go back in there. There it comes. There's a piece here. Push it through. There we go. Put a little lubricant on it. Now, I shouldn't have to take this carburetor off again. We will peek inside. But let's just put this on. We'll peek inside in a minute. Now we should be able to push it on. That's on. There we go. All right, done. We'll leave the excess over there. I can see there's grease in here because I did lube that gear. That's already been done, right? This was lube, so that pulls nice. So you just got to pinch these guys. And if the hose is in bad shape, you can use the green hose like the fuel line. But this is just vacuum line kind of stuff. So the new one is nice. Nice and fluffy. But that one's hard and it's not sticking up. And I think it might even have a crack, or it's developing a crack. Yeah. Yep. All right. Make it so. Mine was a little stuck on there. A little bit of my tranny sauce. It acts like a release agent. That's why I say no, and no acetone. That's for something very specific. All right, move the coil up to here. That way, when you go to put the cover on, it's not going to stick. There's like grease all over. The new ones, sometimes they're a little sloppy. It doesn't really mean anything. If you want, you can put some silicone behind it. It's not a bad idea, and eventually it'll kind of stay. But I don't care. Can't see from my house. It doesn't affect anything. You just slide it on. Just watch your coil wire. And you gotta watch this guy. This guy comes down through the bottom. And there's like a slot. And that's gotta come sort of underneath and around. You'll see it when we're done. Now when you line everything up, after you get everything sort of, before you tighten everything down, give it a pull with the plug out. Make sure she's pulling over good. All right, let me go wash up. Look at this. What do you think, fellas? That looks good. Right, we got a shut off here, an extra filter. Shut off so you can replace the filter and do whatever you want. And it's out of the way. It's actually in a good spot. I think it looks good. A couple of washers in here to support it. A little bit of blue Loctite on that. We'll put this back in a minute. Let's get this out of the way for now. Yeah, we'll put that back. I'm going to just turn around and I'm going to take a quick peek underneath before we put this back. Let's just drop the bowl and just see what we see. This one's got that nice tickler on the bottom. Oh, that gas is nasty. Look. Oh, I can see it on my finger. All right, let's go take a look at that. That's from this gas. Look, see? That's nasty. Yeah, that's the jet. So we want to make sure we gum out that. Yeah, it's black. All right. I'm just going to spray a little gum out on everything. I mean, I don't know if they put something in it because you can see the yellowing. There's just a couple of pieces of junk in there. I think just a good purge. Clean the jet out too. It left like a stain. Let's see if we can get up in here. Took the gasket out. Yeah, she's a little nasty up in there. I think if we get it, tomorrow we'll run this. It's getting late. And when I put some gas in it, we'll let it run. We'll do some tweaking and tuning. Just make sure she's okay. And then I want to get up in here where the emulsion tube is. There we go. Now, next thing I want to do, let me dump this, and then we're going to pull out the idle jet and clean that too. All right, so we blew out up in there. Then what I did was I blew all around the idle jet with gum out, and then I blew it with low pressure air, about 20, 30 pounds. Because as we pull this out, and we go to blow with gum out, last thing we want is to be pushing anything in. That's why I always wash the outside of my carbs first. You know, a lot of people make that mistake. They just start blowing around everything, and you could wind up blowing dirt in. All right, there's our idle jet. Okay, well, let's just do this first. Okay, yeah, that's good. We'll get some in here. All right, let's let it drip, and then I'm going to put it back together. Let me go do the idle jet. Now, don't forget there's that side hole. You see it? And then what's nice is you can use, that's a Tecumseh needle, and I use it for almost all of my idle jets on all the different motors, the ones that come out. And just stick it in that main hole, and then the side hole is a different size. So I'll take care of all of that. Just a quick blow, and I'll reassemble it. All right, it might be in your way a little bit, but I got grease, plenty of grease on this gasket. It's going to make it easier for the bowl to go on, but more importantly, I need something to help me to stick it up. I don't generally like to put them on in this direction. They have a tendency to fall down and get displaced slightly. So we want to avoid that. Looks like I'm in the right spot. That thing's going to poke me in the eye. Yeah, it looks like we're okay. Yeah. Sometimes people use Vaseline because it dissolves a little bit faster. We want to keep the drain to the left. Let's see if we can, yep, it went up. Yep, I can feel it. It's up, see? And I think that's it for tonight, fellas. I think that's it. That's good. We'll put fuel in it. We'll put a little no-seize on the plug tomorrow. I checked the plug, make sure that this shuts it off and turns the spark back on again.
The next day.
It's down on the ground. I got at least this much fuel in there. And I always pour through a filter. It's a good idea, a paint filter. This gas tank is at about the same level as the engine, pretty much the same level if the fuel was full. As the fuel goes down, that fuel level drops, right? We're somewhere about here. The carburetor isn't much lower. The hoses, it's always a good idea if you're testing it to start off with more fuel. And when you want to go run it, you want to make sure you're full, almost up to the top. Not overflowing because it'll pee out, but pretty much maintain it at the top. I know you're out there on the property somewhere and it's going to start to run low. It may start to run lean. It may act up. Don't be surprised. All right, let me go get the cord for this, and I'll aim the camera down. Up all the way. That's full choke. And we should be in neutral. Well, there is no neutral, but flappers are up. Flapper handles. A whole bunch of primes. Let's see if we can hear it. We might see it pee out, too. That's usually a good sign with these. Oh yeah, I can see it. You hear it too, big time. Now, there's no leaks because it's been sitting like this for a while. So let's give it a... Well, it's fairly clear, but it does have a little bit of stripies in it. Nothing major. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not a bad oil, but it's nice that it doesn't feel thick. It's cool now. I emptied it while it was still hot. It really didn't see a season or anything like that. All right, so let's finish this thing up. Put a few things on, kind of get it a little purdied up a little bit, and then I can put it, in the other room. All right, it's cold out. It's windy. This thing's been sitting for about a week. The fuel line is on, so it's not dripping, which is good. Let's turn it on. Like I said, it's cold. Choke. Full throttle. Bunch of primes. That's like 7. Get it! Let it warm up. You need more choke. Another couple of primes. Remember, it's cold. For a little bit. Yeah, I can hear it coming up. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Get out of here. It's freezing out and windy. All right, nailed it. All right, still cold. It's cold. It's like, 20-something degrees, and that wind has just been going. But I can't sell the thing. That's why I didn't want to get rid of that starter motor, because I have ideas for another bigger motor, which probably will never pan out, but that's another issue, possibly for my 826. And I needed a starter motor. There's no money. People are broke, and if it doesn't snow enough here, they're like, the hell with it. Maybe if you start in like Thanksgiving or something. In the past, I've had some success with that. You can't make something nice. You can't get too involved in it. That's why I didn't do the primer bulb right away, because there's no money. There's nobody wants to buy anything. They just want this new junk. These are nice machines. I highly recommend that you go out and find one. I know I rank on MTD and from time to time, but these are older, and it's a nice Tecumseh motor. And if you go over the steps that I showed, plus I've got that fuel switch on there, that shut-off valve, that's great at the end of the year. Close, maybe wash machine off, get the salt off of it, and then start her up, get it running. Don't put too much fuel in the tank or let it run down low. Shut that switch off and let her run out of the fuel. Then hit that tickler, that French tickler over there in the carburetor. Evacuate the carb bowl. She'll be fine, right? Let it dry out in the sun. Maybe spray a little bit of whatever you like to spray, like in the can and whatever, all around it. Suck the rest of the gas out, or put a stabilizer in a little bit in the bottom of it. That might help. The problem is that these fuel caps are open to atmosphere, and our gas has alcohol in it. So if you just leave a little bit of fuel in the bottom of that tank and it goes for like 8, 9 months, 10 months, or whatever it is, it's going to suck water in from the atmosphere. Rainy days, and we get fog, and how about that weird fog that's going on? Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching.